All right, it's 7 o'clock. We're missing one member, but he was here, so hopefully he'll be back soon. I'm going to call the second session of the public hearing related to the fiscal 25-26 budget to open at 7 p.m. And this is devoted to the town side of the budget. We had a good session last night with the public schools. So just a reminder that comments are limited to 3 minutes. Pete Benarski, who's standing right there, is going to be timing it. He has a 30-second sign that's been around for 21 years and looks it. That'll hold up and remind you when you're getting close. So with that, we're going to start with Ellie Beecher, Rose Beecher, Kit Evans, and Kira Malloy, followed by Birdie and Goldie Casely, and can't really read the next name. But Ellie, Rose, Kit, and Kira, please stand up and let us know what you want to say.
Who goes? Whoever's first.
I'm El Beecher and I live on Shore Road. We have a bus stop for school that is very dangerous to get to. I'm scared when we go there. We have no safe place to cross or stand. Please help us stay safe. Please help us build a sidewalk. Thank you so much. My name is Rose Beecher. I live on Shore Road. I love Shore Road, but sometimes I'm afraid there are so many buses, trucks, and cars, and motorcycles. I wish there was a sidewalk so I wouldn't be afraid or sad. Thank you. Hi, my name's Kira Malloy. I live in Old Greenwich. I love playing at Tides Point Beach. I wish I could walk, run, or bike, but my parents won't let me. My mom is big on me being independent and responsible, but she won't even let me walk beside her or my dad. My mom has a good reason for this. She doesn't always have good reasons of why I can't do something. But this one's legit. My dad got hit by a car while running to Todd's Point. Please put sidewalks to Todd's Point so I can be an independent kid and be safe. My name is Kit and I live on Shore Road. Thank you for your help taking the first step to sidewalks on shore. This sidewalk will make Shore Road safer for the people of Old Greenwich. I can't wait to feel safer in my community. Please fund construction of this project.
Okay, now we have.
Do you have anybody else?
Good job, ladies.
Now we have the next four: Birdie, Goldie, Casely, and I'm sorry I can't read the last name.
Hi, we are Goldie, Olivia,
And Birdie, a 5th grader at Old Greenwich School who loves to bike to school safely every day.
We believe that you should prioritize sidewalks on shore. We are both 8th graders from Eastern Middle School. As people who take the bus every day, since sidewalks on shore to Ballwood, Keophram, as well as OG Town have been made, it has been so much easier to get to the bus and therefore get to school safely. Additionally, ever since the sidewalks in town have been made, I have found that it is so much easier to walk, bike there safely with friends, siblings, without fear of the danger from learning drivers in the high school. Speaking of high school driving, as someone who will be getting their learner's permit in 2 years, I want to be able to enjoy our lovely Greenwich Todd's Point Beach without fear of accidentally causing injury to older citizens, adults, or younger elementary schoolers, such as my sister Birdie, who loves to walk, bike, and scoot with her friends and our dog to school and the beach. Finally, as someone who has enjoyed having the sidewalks that have been added in recently, I think that the people on Northorn, Juanita, Lucas Point, and other deserve to feel safe while traveling, walking, and biking just as much as we do.
We believe that we need sidewalks on shore to walk, bike, build our community, learn to drive, and get to school safely every day.
Thank you.
Nico Bond and Xavier Tischler, please. Followed by Kirsten Beecher.
Good evening, members of the BET. My name is Nico Bound. So firstly, a sidewalk to Todd's Point Beach would serve as a vital link, fostering a stronger sense of community by encouraging interaction and bringing people together in a shared space. By providing a safe and accessible route to the beach, it would invite more people to walk rather than drive, naturally increasing foot traffic and interactions between neighbors and visitors. The act of walking together along a common path allows for spontaneous conversations and connections, strengthening social bonds and creating a greater sense of belonging. Additionally, a sidewalk would make the walk to the beach much safer for everyone. Currently, people often have to walk along the road, which can be dangerous, especially with the loads of cars that are constantly passing by. A dedicated sidewalk would separate pedestrians from traffic, providing a secure space for walking, running, or biking without the worry of being too close to the vehicles. It would be especially important for kids, seniors, and those with mobility challenges, offering them a safe, easy way to reach the beach and take part in local activities. The sidewalk could also serve as a venue for community events, such as group walks, fitness classes, or beach cleanups, further enhancing community engagement. In total, this would help create a more cohesive and vibrant neighborhood where people feel more connected to one another and to the places they share. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Xavier Tischler. Sidewalks encourage people to walk instead of drive. This not only promotes healthier lifestyles, but also helps reduce traffic congestion and lower our carbon footprint. Additionally, sidewalks create inclusive and accessible spaces. They allow people to exercise, offer a clear path for runners, and make it easier for individuals using wheelchairs or pushing strollers to get around safely and comfortably. Sidewalks are more than just pavement. They're an investment in health, safety, and inclusivity of the community. Thank you.
Kirsten Beecher, followed by Claire Brown.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Beecher, and I live on Shore Road between Sound Beach Avenue and South Crossway. Thank you again for approving the funds last year for the feasibility study. I went to the public meeting earlier this week, but the DPW did, and it was fantastic seeing that it is in fact feasible, and it looked great. There were a few obstacles, so we felt really excited about the results of that. Just this morning, I was driving towards my house when I saw Helen Maher walking on Shore Road. Helen has lived on Rocky Point Road, which is right off of Shore Road, for 51 years. And I stopped to talk to her, and she said, I'm so sorry I can't come tonight. I'm going to be a bit tired, but I have never felt safe walking on this road for the 51 years I've lived here. I've never been able to walk to Todd's Point. We always drive there. She said, and watching her walk from 2 blocks from Rocky Point to Sound Beach today, it really made me sad because she was up on a grassy hill just trying to get safely to Sound Beach Ave. And that's just something that we see on a daily occurrence on our street. There are 26 bus stops on this stretch of road, yet we have no safe passageway for our children and families to get to and from these stops. Every day they face the daunting task of navigating a busy road with no designated place to stand while waiting for the bus. It's not just an inconvenience, it's a serious safety concern. I understand for some of you, not all, that this may seem like just another line item in a long list of budget requests. However, I urge you to consider the real and tangible impact this decision has on our community's lives. We live and breathe this issue every day, and we do so in fear of our safety and the safety of our community. I stand here as just one person, but I would like to ask the people in this room here tonight, who thinks we need a sidewalk on Shore Road? Please raise your hand if you do. Oh, this was more dramatic last year too, and there was more people, but that's still pretty good. Thank you for showing your support. It's clear that our community recognizes the need for this infrastructure. I know that you've been receiving an outpouring of emails and forms on this topic, so I'm just here to echo the sentiment. I urge you to approve the full requested funds for the construction of the sidewalk. By doing so, we can ensure that our children have a safe way to travel to and from their bus stops, and that families and elders can walk to this road safely. Thank you for your time and consideration, and as always, for your unwavering commitment to Greenwich. Thank you.
Claire Brown, followed by Will Goldsmith.
Good evening, and thank you for letting us speak to you. I live on East Point Lane, so to get to the town, I have to walk on Shore Road. And I walk every day, and it feels like an obstacle path. I mean, literally, there are cars just to cross. There's no crossing anywhere. It's a dangerous. Well, I'm very happy when I hit Northorn, because then I can go in and not worry about cars as much. I also have 2 grandchildren, 3 and 5, that I take to Rocky Point Club at the end of Rocky Point Road over the summer, and trying to navigate Shore Road with a stroller and a 5-year-old next to the stroller I'm always happy when I finally get to Rocky Point Road. With the stroller, you cannot go on the grass all the time. You always have to get on the road at some point, and it is not a fun experience. So I love having the sidewalk on the other side of Shore. It has made a huge difference to my walking. It's so pleasant. And I feel like going to the Point or going to Sound Beach is just it's the worst part of my walking. I can't wait to get out of Shore Road. So it would be fantastic to have the sidewalks like everybody said. For me, it's mainly a safety issue. I try not to use my car. I walk a lot. I bicycle a lot. I'm not going to go on the bike on the sidewalk, but it would be nice to have the sidewalk, because when you have somebody running or walking and then you're on the bike, you go off them and then you're almost in the middle of the road. So for me, it's really a safety issue. I think it would be great for the community, and I really appreciate your support. The last thing I would like to say is that Rocky Point Club is a club that has encouraged people to walk or bike to the club. And again, it is dangerous to send kids and tell them go walk there, because they have to be on Shore Road at some point. So that part of Shore Road with the sidewalk would be fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening.
Will Goldsmith, followed by Maggie Bond.
Evening. I'm not nearly as charming as articulate as the 7-year-olds who came before me, so I'll keep this kind of quick. Evening. My name is William Goldsmith. First and foremost, thank you to everybody on this committee for your commitment to this town, especially on matters that may not always be glamorous, but certainly are quite tangible on a micro level like this. I come here along with several neighbors here tonight, in full support of the Sidewalks on Shore initiative. I live down near the end of Meadowbank Road, right off of Shore Road, and I implore you guys to approve the funds and finish the job to get the sidewalk all the way down to Todd's Point. You all heard the stories before. Parents and kids waiting for school buses, inches from fast-moving traffic. I'll add this one to the list. Just last Wednesday, my 5-year-old scolded me for standing no more than a foot too far into the road. Of course, I was only trying to shield my sons from the oncoming cars, but it was a surreal moment, a surreal role reversal moment. That's how real and visible the danger is to children. Last year, I shared here that my oldest son was diagnosed with mild cerebral palsy at a young age. He's 8 now. He's a handsome kid, tall for his age, and of course has a deep desire to acquire and explore newfound freedoms on his own. He loves being social, playing games with his neighbors, chasing crabs at the beach, just being a normal kid. However, due to his condition, he has very poor balance, so a walk or scooter down Shore Road with no dedicated space as it stands today remains a gamble I can't afford to take. Just last week, I was turning off Meadowbank onto shore and nearly collided with a car that was going around a runner heading the opposite direction. It was very close and a powerful reminder of what's at stake with these decisions. Now imagine that runner was my son, an elderly neighbor, or anyone with limited mobility. A trip or on uneven ground or a misstep could turn into something horrific in a split second. As a parent, you live in a constant state of what if and how you can prevent these dangerous situations for your kids. This sidewalk is one of those few what ifs that we can actually fix. It's something tangible we can do to make things safer for our kids, for seniors, for everyone. Thank you for your progress so far. Please, let's finish the job and get a sidewalk down to Todd's Point. Thanks.
Maggie Bowen, followed by Janet Stone McGuigan.
Hello again. My name is Maggie Bound, and I'm a resident of Old Greenwich and a member of SOS, or Sidewalks on Shore Road, since 2021. I'm here to say thank you for all you do for our town, but also to say thank you for the beautiful sidewalk you approved in 2022 for our busy portion of Shore Road from Tomac to Sound Beach. It was built in 2023. It has made our children safer and our residents more connected. It is very much used, and we have a lot of photos actually up on Instagram if you want to see them. But please, we would like to finish this job and continue Shore Road, the sidewalk on Shore Road, to the causeway before Todd's Point. We are asking for $1.25 million to engineer and build this sidewalk to the causeway before Todd's. As Kristen said, we saw the design that DPW put together on Tuesday. Remarkably, it's straightforward. There's plenty of right-of-way, just a few trees and light poles. So very exciting. But why even bother with this, and why now? I just want to make 3 points. Once again, I've mentioned it before, Department of Public Works has always said that a sidewalk on shore to Todd's is the single most popular request that they receive from the residents of the town of Greenwich. This doesn't surprise any of us, as the recent 2023 Greenwich Resident Satisfaction Survey cited Greenwich beaches and parks as the single most favorite feature that drew residents to the area. Point 2, Todd's Point is the most popular park in the town of Greenwich, but it's the only one without a sidewalk providing safe pedestrian access. Just think for a minute. Guess how many people do you think came to Todd's Point last summer in 2024, in that period where they check the beach passes? 250? 350? 450,000? It was actually almost 550,000 residents came to Todd's Point. In fact, 549,270. And that does not even count the kids under the age of 5, and it doesn't count the kids that are on the school buses that come from OGRCC to do the Sandpipers Camp or Camp Carefree. 10% of those visitors come on foot or by bike. So 10% of those, 50,000, are vulnerable. Just to give you some context, by contrast, Byron Park, which is the second most popular park, gets about 1/7 of that number in summer visitors. So just a side story, I learned firsthand a few years ago the dangers of not having a sidewalk. I was training for a charity race a few years ago, and I would run down Sound Beach, Binney Park, then Post Road, then Coscob, then Bruce Park, Byron, Pembroke, all enjoying the sidewalk.
30 seconds.
Thank you. I'll go for it. But anyway, the point is, all those parks had easy access, and I would rather go that way than go the half mile from my house to Todd's. Thirdly, what impact would this have? Once this final portion of sidewalk is hopefully completed, it would connect all of Greenwich and those 2 parks I spoke about, Byron Park, second most popular park with the lovely pool, Todd's Point with 147 acres and the wonderful beaches, all of that would be connected by the Post Road, by train. Anyone can go from one side of Greenwich to the other. How powerful would that be? I think that's a worthy goal. Am I done? Okay, thank you so much for your time.
For the record, my name is Janet Stone McGuigan, and I serve on the Board of Selectmen. Thank you for your many hours of public service and attention tonight to the concerns of our community. In January, I asked the BET to consider the budget holistically and make it a sustainable budget in every sense of the word. And I repeat that request tonight. Now, having closely followed the Budget Committee's department hearings and vote, I'd like to make a few observations. To the extent that some members of your board feel they must propose cuts, please consider their impact on the well-being of our community. You may be surprised to hear me advocate for a cut. I hold up the town's leaf collection program as a small but symbolic example. Modifying, scaling back, or even phasing out a program that has outlived its original purpose to discourage residents from burning leaves, a practice that has been illegal for decades, would address safety concerns, a sense that the costs borne by the entire town only benefit certain neighborhoods, and an opportunity to align budget priorities with other boards' priorities. The Conservation Commission recommends leaving the leaves. We need to be unified in this message. But it was more than disappointing to hear that some of your members wish to propose major cuts without any indication of what those cuts might be. The government of this town is stronger when there is robust public deliberation. And by not disclosing possible cuts, our town departments were not given an opportunity to inform the decision-making process. In fact, some departments were not even given a hearing. If such cuts come to pass, this silence was truly a disservice to our excellent professional staff and our community. Finally, once again, some of the town's most pressing needs don't appear in this year's budget. I'll name the Holly Hill Transfer Station as my poster child. We're painfully aware how much the town and state currently spend on waste disposal, and those costs will only substantially increase without thoughtful planning. We cannot continue to delay these discussions. I hope once this budget process concludes, you'll take these challenges on. Again, thank you for your service and consideration.
Liz Johnson, followed by Helen Delago.
Hello, I'm here to advocate for the sidewalks on shore. I'm a resident of Old Greenwich, Liz Johnson. These roads were laid out in the 1600s and 1700s, and the Indians and farmers are gone. They're no longer here, and they're replaced by pedestrians. I go along that stretch of road every day, and there are people walking and jogging, and there is absolutely no safe place for them to go. As a realtor in town, buyers often ask me, where are the sidewalks? How would we get to this park? It's the most popular park in town, and it's the only park that doesn't have a way for pedestrians to get there. Buyers come from places with sidewalks. They come for this community so that they can walk and be a part of the community, know their neighbors, get to the beach, and there's just absolutely no safe way to do that. I've seen the aftermath of many bad instances. I've lived in this town for 40 years, and I've seen some pretty awful things on Shore Road, and I don't want to see any more of that happening. Please approve funding for sidewalks on the final stretch of Shore Road. Really, it is a park that deserves to be accessed by foot and by pedestrians. And the song goes, times they are changing, and now we need to change with the times.
Helen Delago, followed by Nicole Chowdhury.
Good evening. Thank you all for your public service to the town of Greenwich. My name is Helen Delago. I was born in Greenwich and moved to Old Greenwich in 1960. We live about half a mile from Todd's Point. For many years, we would drive to Todd's Point in the summer with our 3 children. We might have walked if we had safe sidewalks to walk on. After my husband retired in 1992, we did our daily exercise by walking around the point every morning. We thought of walking from our home, but thought how dangerous it was walking on the street. Another incident many years ago, on a hot August Sunday, we drove to the beach with our 3 children and were turned away. That's when they didn't have as much parking. It was a hot August afternoon, and we were turned away because parking was filled. Now, had we had sidewalks, we could have walked to the beach and not worry about parking. I also was in favor of campaign for the sidewalks from Tomac to South Beach Avenue. When I see a mother walking with a stroller on a sidewalk or kids waiting for the bus safely on the sidewalk, it warms my heart and makes me feel good. Just one accident is one too many. Let's not ever have that happen again. Thank you for your time.
Nicole Chowdhury, followed by Marcy Malloy.
Hello. I'm Nicole Chaudhry. Thank you all for your service to the town. I'm an RTM member from District 6. I am a mom to 3 kids, almost 8. One's turning 4 next week, and a 1.5-year-old who travels by stroller still. And I live on Meadowbank, just down the road from Will. Meadowbank is one of the roads right off of Shore on the stretch where we're asking for the sidewalk. As I've gotten more involved in trying to push and get the sidewalk put in, I've learned that my desire for a sidewalk is not new and it's not unique. I have learned that for more than 20 years, the town has been conducting studies over and over again, and every time the conclusion is the same, that that stretch of road is a really high need for a sidewalk. I've also heard that even anecdotally in the 80s and 90s at town meetings, residents were talking about the need for the sidewalk. I have a list here of the studies. I will try to cite them, but in 2003, there were workshops where people talked about that stretch as an area of greatest concern. Again, in 2006, it was flagged in the sidewalk inventory the town did. In 2010, there was reported in the priority sidewalk report. And then 10 years ago, in 2015, they did an Eastern Greenwich neighborhood plan. And it was flagged as a first priority for needed sidewalks. And the first selectman flagged it in this plan that year as a priority. So for 22 years that we have documentation of, the town has been doing these studies and always finding that that piece of road needs a sidewalk. I can only imagine how much more expensive the sidewalk is now versus building the exact same thing 22 years ago. But also I'm thinking about how many town resources have been spent. I have gotten to see a little bit of what DPW has done in this round. It's taken a lot of time and effort and thoughtfulness, and to think that they've done this multiple times for 22 years, like, it's a lot of inefficiency. It's time to please build this sidewalk. I also think about all the kids and families who didn't walk to the beach, as everyone's been talking about. The moms who were nervous, waiting for their kids to walk home along Shore Road with that curve, worrying with a knot in their stomach, like, are they going to be safe? Because the sidewalk hasn't been built for so long. So I'm asking you to please put that sidewalk in. My kids are little. I would love for them to benefit from it, and thank you again.
Marcy Malloy, followed by Katie Lero.
Hi, my name is Marcy Malloy. I live in Old Greenwich. I'm back again to state what I consider the unquestionably obvious, approving sidewalks from Shore Road to South Crossway on Todd's Point Beach. Both innovation and adversity inspire change that often improves lives and communities. However, sometimes change makes people and communities forget what's foundationally important to the health of individuals and society. The invention of cars has led to a more mobile and connected world. However, it also led to a neglect of creating and maintaining walkable communities through sidewalks. And the adversity and chaos of COVID, the pandemic, illuminated the importance of accessible parks and beaches to people's physical and mental health. However, with this revitalized appreciation of parks and beaches, the number of people visiting Todd's Point, as you know, is over 500,000 between April 1 and October 31st, with over 10% on foot or bike. The combination of hundreds of thousands of people and no sidewalks at Todd's Point is dangerous. And my husband's experience on a beautiful Sunday day in July of 2014 is a tragic example of this that my daughter illuminated, who wouldn't be here if this tragic incident had ended differently. Pictures speak louder than words. This is my husband, an experienced runner who was training for his 8th marathon. These are the pictures after Kevin was hit by a car while running on Shore Road to Todd's Point Beach. He suffered multiple face, arm, hip, knee, head injuries, including a severe concussion. He's truly lucky to be alive. The driver denied fault. It ended in a lawsuit, and thankfully the judge's ruling was in our favor. However, the lack of driver visibility of runners and walkers on Shore Road due to large hedges, narrow roadways, and a lack of sidewalks, and that main bend is where he got hit, were the main points of discussion in the lawsuit. But here we are, 11 years later, with no sidewalks and a continued threat to the safety issue. In hindsight, as I said before, because everyone's talked about health and community and gathering, let's talk about money. Maybe we should have sued the town, but not for money, but for the demand that the sidewalks be placed on shore so that what happened to my husband doesn't happen again. Prevention of illness and accidents is always the best medicine and policy. Yes, so risk, benefit, and cost analysis is necessary in any prevention effort. However, the construction of sidewalks on shore towards Todd Point is absolutely less costly than a lawsuit against the town for negligence. Those hedges is where he got hit. That bend that you can't run around, let alone with a stroller. More importantly, preventing a high morbidity and mortality accident is just the right thing to do. Do the right thing and approve the construction of the sidewalk on shore. But even if you value money over human life, the fiscally responsible decision is an approval because one lawsuit against the town will cost millions more than the construction. Thank you so much for your time and your consideration and your service. Get back to the basics. Let's create walkable communities with safe access to parks and improve the sidewalks. Thank you.
Katie Laro, followed by Ryan Shonuff.
Good evening, longtime listener, first-time caller. First off, I'd like to thank the board for their time. I know these meetings can be long and tedious, but they're important for addressing concerns in our ever-evolving community. And I'm sure you've heard your fare of unhinged 3-minute rants. My name is Katie Laro, and I'm a resident of Indian Field Road, and I'm here to talk sidewalk. Yes, this again. I know the topic of a sidewalk on Indian Field has come up in the past. Even in 2006, according to the town's own pedestrian safety survey, Indian Field was designated as a high priority street for a sidewalk. In the almost 2 decades since the report was published, both car and foot traffic have increased significantly. According to the recently published Connecticut Department of Transportation Pell study, Indian Field Road was specifically named as a street that caused concern not just for drivers but for pedestrians as well. As I mentioned earlier, our community continues to evolve. In the last 5 years, several homes on the street have sold to new families, many of whom who have school-age children. I know this because I spoke to them, and it's clear that the desire for a sidewalk is strong. Around Thanksgiving, I distributed questionnaires to residents of Indian Field, and within the last 3 weeks, myself, a mother of 2, and my neighbor, a mother of 3, went door to door to collect responses from the homes we had yet to hear back from. Of the 47 homes between I-95 and Route 1, 68% responded favorably to a sidewalk. 32 were in favor, 6 were opposed, and 11 didn't respond, or they were just hiding from me when I knocked. But Rome wasn't built in a day, so I'm here with a simpler request. A sidewalk between Route 1 and Cross Lane. Of the 30 homes between Route 1 and Cross, 80% of homeowners in that 0.3 of a mile stretch are strongly in favor of having a sidewalk put in. Cross Lane opens up to Lachlan Park neighborhood and will allow for safer passage. Indian Field sees an incredible amount of foot traffic in all sorts of weather at all times of the year, the scariest being the icy winter months when it gets dark early. High schoolers, Metro North commuters, dog walkers, residents will be able to get to the train, local businesses, parks, high school more safely, and their families can breathe a bit easier. It's my belief that people will continue to walk on Indian Field regardless of whether or not there's a sidewalk, so please consider looking into and allocating funds to make it a safe walk. Thank you for your time. Oh, that's for another time.
Ryan Shonuff, and I hope I'm getting that right, followed by Vin DeMarco.
Hello, I'm Ryan Schneff. Thank you for your time and service to the town, and it continues to make Greenwich a great place to live. Me and my wife Caitlin moved to town 4.5 years ago, and we're raising our 3 kids there, ages 5, 3, and 1. We're fortunate enough to live along a stretch of Shore Road that got the sidewalks a couple years ago, and so we think it would be great if it could continue down to the beach. We feel very lucky to live near Todd's Point, one of town's greatest attractions. With that brings a high level of traffic and general activity. And as I think about the traffic and, the potential to get a sidewalk down to the beach, I think about it in a few different ways. Number one, obviously, as a parent, being able to get out with our kids for, in a stroller ride or a bike or a scooter without fear has been great. And then as I think about them getting older and wanting to encourage them to get outside and explore and gain their independence, having a dedicated, safe place for our kids to walk would be fabulous. Secondly, as many people mentioned here, I think about it a lot as a driver. There's a lot of foot traffic along Shore Road, joggers, dog walkers, oftentimes at night when visibility is low. And I think, as a driver, it makes me, it's a little nerve-wracking driving, and it's nice to know, at least on our stretch, that there's a dedicated place for people to walk safely. And, I encourage you to do that further along down to the beach. And then lastly, I think about it as a neighbor. There's outside of, all of us parents, there's, a lot of community members out there that I think would appreciate it. For example, I have a neighbor who's in his 80s and he has kind of a routine with his wife to walk down to the beach when they're filling up for it. And, having a safe, dedicated place to do that where, you don't have to worry about oncoming traffic or hop into someone's yard to avoid a car would be helpful. So thank you. I advocate for the sidewalks. I appreciate it.
Vin DeMarco, followed by Ryan Munro.
Good evening, and thank you. Sorry I came in late. I missed a lot of comments, and I probably can't hear any of the other ones because I'm a little bit deaf. Anyway, so my comments will be sort of my own. Two projects that I'm concerned about, and actually the Indian Field Road project. I think that's super important. I agree with the lady who just spoke, and maybe even more important at this moment in time than the sidewalks on shore, for a different reason. The Shore Road south is actually a beach access road. It should be looked at differently from Shore Road north. It's a collector. It collects all of the people walking and biking and jogging and driving, everyone going to the beach back and forth. And so it should be slower. It should be calmer. And there are definitely ways to make traffic slow down, one of them being enforcement, of course. But sidewalks are not going to slow the traffic down. In fact, they might even speed the traffic up. I'm not against a sidewalk. What I am in favor of is safety for all users on that road. So here's my concern. They're asking for the, people are asking for the money to go ahead and do the construction now, after so many years of, recommendations and all of that. Fine, let's put the money towards something. I don't know that a sidewalk is really the end all. There are other treatments that have not been considered that could provide safety, not just for walkers and joggers and cyclists, but also for motorists. And they come under the guise of the Federal Highway Manual for small towns and rural, small and rural towns. And that road really should be a quieter road, slower road. Anyway, let's put the money out there. Let's fund it, but let's let the DPW do some real work and take a look at all of the alternatives that'll make it safer for everyone. And the concern that I have is that the public hearing was only 3 days ago. Why did the public hearing happen so late? And the same thing holds true for the other project that I'm concerned about is the crosswalks on Route 1, Byram Road to Pemberwick. Same thing. I don't even think there has been a public hearing on those. And now at the last minute, we're going to be asking for money. Let's put the money out there on the condition that the consensus of the community is heard and every option is taken a look at before we already do the construction, including, as it was pointed out to us the other night, that they can do some striping, temporary striping, to try out these things and see where they're going to go and how the traffic responds. Thanks, Pete. Thank you.
Ryan Monroe, followed by Odell Rota.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Ryan Monroe. My family and I moved to Old Greenwich about 9 months ago. One of the reasons we fell in love with the town was its accessibility, and certainly sidewalks are a key point and driver of that accessibility. The home we fell in love with actually is on South Crossway in Lucas Point, so the ending node of where the sidewalk is intended. And extending the sidewalk down to that stretch of the community obviously would be incredibly positively impactful for us. Our daughter Ellie is in first grade, and similar to Rose, Kristen's daughter, enjoys biking to school. And again, to echo the sentiment of many of my neighbors, the stretch there is pretty tricky, and I have to hold my breath, anytime I ride with my daughter around that bend. So wanted to again advocate strongly for the extension of the sidewalks. It's literally going to be in our backyard, and something that we think would be incredibly, profoundly important for the community. Thank you.
And the final speaker, unless there's anybody who didn't sign up, and if you didn't and want to speak, please see the lady over on the side there. Odell Rota, please.
Good evening. My name is Adele Rhoda, and I want to thank you all for your countless hours of service to the town. Much appreciated. I'm here tonight to support the full funding of the Commission on Aging, and specifically the Wallace Center and the budget that they presented. I represent not just myself, but many seniors, many of my fellow seniors who don't drive at night and otherwise perhaps would like to have been here to talk with you as well. These same seniors have made contributions to our town for decades and are utilizing the Wallace Center and the services of the Commission on Aging now as we enter our golden years. The pandemic made clear that loneliness is an epidemic, and it impacts all ages, school children to the elderly. It also demonstrated how important socialization is. And the Wallace Center provides programs and support for seniors physically, mentally, socially, and for our overall well-being, and it's critically important to that constituency. I personally consider the Senior Center my happy place. I enjoy attending a variety of programs there. I'm there a few times a week, and I've made a great number of friends there and taken many, many classes and programs. Many of the folks who attend the Wallace Center and enjoy the programs are of limited means and are on fixed incomes, and the services provided by the Commission on Aging and the Wallace Center are a vital lifeline to their well-being. So I just wanted to put a plug in to ensure that budget is secured. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, that's all the speakers that I have that signed up. Thank you all for your comments and attendance and all of that. And we'll end the public hearing at 7:44.